Welcome back, Warrior. So today we are going to be reading in Matthew chapter 21, 12 to 16, because we are doing the Easter week preparation. One second. So this week we're kind of skipping our Book of Mormon reading on the videos just because we want to concentrate on the Easter week before we get back into the Book of Mormon. So I think it's kind of fun to kind of switch it up. But I am missing the Book of Mormon already. Yesterday I said I was going to read some, and then of course I did not. And that's how it works. You know, if you don't make that time, it doesn't happen. And I haven't quite put the links up to the things that I said I would yesterday. There's many things going on this week. Or today. So anyways, we're going to do the Jesus cleanses the temple. And I love the art around this as well. There's like this one art, and I don't know if you guys have Bitmojis, the Bitmoji app on your phone, but my favorite one is the one where it's like the Bitmoji character is angry. So like if I'm gonna put like emoji that's like angry, then sometimes I like using this one because it reminds me of Jesus cleansing the temple, because we have that imagery where he like turns over the tables, right? And it's just so awesome. I love that. And anyway, so there's that Bitmoji that like has somebody turning over the tables like, oh, you know, like they're so mad. Anyway, that's one of my favorite Bitmojis to use. Maybe let me know in the comments which ones you like to use if you use that Bitmoji app, because it is such a fun app. And then here we go. We're going to just get into it because, and maybe I should do Monday and Tuesday because they're both kind of short and we could just combine it, but then it seems weird on the video. Anyway, yeah, so for the title it'd be weird. Okay, so we'll just do Monday. Okay, so Matthew 21, 12 to 16. And these are not the only scriptures that talk about Jesus cleansing the temple. This is just the ones that the Redheaded Hostess has selected for us to read. Okay, so it says, "And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves." See, so the overthrowing of the money changers, or overthrowing of the tables that's like the best. Like you just can't even picture Christ doing that, but it's just an awesome image. And then verse 13, "And said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves." I think it's also a little easier to maybe see if you've ever been to like there's a tabernacle, there's like a traveling tabernacle. And if you've ever been to one, it kind of goes through and shows you a little bit of what it was like, what the tabernacles or what temples were like back then. And so they had lots of different things, you know, where they have the like outer area, and then where you do like sacrifice and washings, and then like a little bit more inward, there's other things, and then the Holy of Holies is in the middle. So it kind of seems like it would make sense to set up right outside the temple to be like, hey, if you need to make your sacrifice, but you didn't come with one and you would like to buy one, this is your chance. And so I get that. But maybe they just needed to set up a little further out, you know? Because I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so I see business opportunities everywhere. And to me, that seems like a logical business opportunity. Like, I love food trucks. Why wouldn't you sell food there, right? Or why wouldn't you exchange money there if you need to make change so that you can buy the sacrifice that you're going to make. Because I'll be honest, if I needed to sacrifice an animal, it would have to be one I didn't own already, because I would have had some kind of personal attachment to my animal that would keep me from being able to sacrifice it. But I guess that means it's not the sacrifice that they want, right? That's not the sacrifice the Lord wanted anyway. He wouldn't want the sacrifice that I just bought on the side of the road. But probably he would want me to sacrifice the one that I had a relationship with and that really meant a lot to me, because that is what a sacrifice is. You're giving up something for something better. And if it's not a sacrifice, if it's not hard to give up, is it really a sacrifice? And I think it is a sacrifice in a way, because you're still using your means, your funds, to purchase something that you need to give or sacrifice. So I don't know. I guess it just all depended on where your heart was in everything, and like how the sacrifice is being given. Okay, actually, it looks like I need to go pick up my child. He is very thirsty, so usually he likes to play at the park for a long time, but with his friends and things, but he wants me to pick him up. So anyway, we're going to go do that, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're back, and you might be wondering why we have this Brazil flag. So we had some young women over for dinner the other night, and we were representing Brazil, and they were pretending to be sister missionaries, and like all of our youth actually pretend that they're missionaries, and they go around to different homes and get to have dinner, and like the host home gets to pretend they're from another country. And so we took Brazil because our boys are learning Portuguese, and my husband served his mission in Brazil. So we just went to a local Brazil restaurant, and we bought all kinds of Brazilian food that's yummy. And our oldest made something called brigadeiro, and so that was fun. Anyway, here we go. So we're now just reading the recap from 12 to 13. It says, the temple was divided into different courts, and each court was considered holy. The court of the Gentiles was the outer courtyard of the temple, and the non-Jews were allowed in that area. Then, as you walked further into the temple, each new court became more holy and more selective in who was allowed to enter. See, like I was telling you. So the first cleansing when Christ arrived in Jerusalem. Okay, so the first cleansing when Christ arrived in Jerusalem for the previous Passover, a marketplace had been set up in the court of the Gentiles, the only place that Gentiles could come to pray, but it was made into a marketplace. And then as people arrived to Jerusalem, they needed to offer sacrifices. Unless they owned the animal for the sacrifice they were to give, they would need to purchase the animal. And if they used a different currency than what was used in Jerusalem, they would also need to take part in the currency exchange through a money changer. While these business exchanges were necessary, performing them on temple grounds was inappropriate. Plus, the merchants took advantage of the location and increased their prices. Some scholars suggest that prices would be raised up to 20 times the amount within the temple. These sellers had booths that were very advantageous to them, so getting them to leave would not be a small task. So Christ uses intimidation and strength to drive them out, and it worked. Oh man. Okay, so what's really crazy is that we saw this when we went to Mexico, and we went to Chichen Itza, right? So this place is like really big, and there's this like pyramid thing built in the middle, and it's like ruins from like way back in the day. And what we saw as we were getting there, okay, so it took us a minute to actually like hike to the location where it was, and we had to park pretty far away. Anyway, so from the time that we parked to the time that we got to the place, there were sellers selling all kinds of stuff, like booths, like just lining the path of like full of merchandise and sellers and things. Then when we actually got to the place, so you had to pay an admission to get there. And then when we finally got into this place, we were like, oh, okay, we're safe kind of thing, right? No. Inside this place now were different merchants and different businesses that were people that were trying to sell. And they were surrounding the whole ruin. And we were just like, this is so crazy. Like, you could not escape these people. And you couldn't even just take a picture without, one of these tents or whatever being in the background. And it was so crazy. Like, you just didn't even realize how, you don't realize like how it takes away from your experience until you're actually experiencing that. Because, at first you're like, it's fine. They're going to be fine. People need to buy and sell. But then later you're like, actually, if they weren't there, it would have been like an amazing experience. And, you would have been able to process things and think about things and talk to your family instead of just like saying no every 3 seconds to people that are walking by and feeling like you can't even like take pictures without somebody just staring at you, waiting for you to like buy something from their booth because you're in front of their booth trying to take a pic. And so it was kind of weird. And I could totally see how you would charge more when you got closer, because that's what they did. They charged more when you were like right inside Chichen Itza. It was like more expensive than when you were outside just walking up. And so that's kind of what I liken it to. Just imagine like all the different fun, awesome places that you could go. And then imagine people just trying to sell to you throughout the whole time. Like if you've ever been to the Eiffel Tower, that there's like, booths and things around, but not like tons. It's like you find like a crepe maker or two, or like a food truck or three. And then like, that's it, like around. But imagine if like every time you climbed up a story that you had somebody trying to sell you something. Like your experience of going up to the Eiffel Tower would not be good. And here's the thing, like I don't get why like they could like why so many people have to sell stuff. Like obviously the people who own or whoever owns the Eiffel Tower could sell merchandise. That makes sense, right? And you go to the you go to the souvenir shop for that location or for that place, and that's okay. And then you get your stuff there. But I don't see why we need to bring in like everybody to come and sell the same stuff at every single location. Like that just would be crazy. And so imagine that. That scene in the temple, like it just does not fit, right? And for sure would take away from the spirit of when you try and go to the temple. So it makes sense that Christ was like, no, we're not having this. We're going to turn over the tables. And so, that imagery is so awesome. Okay. And then there was a second cleansing of the temple. And it says, Jesus returned to Jerusalem and again saw the marketplace on the temple grounds. Like before, Jesus did not stand by. He cast them out. As he was doing so, he called the temple my house and exclaimed that it is meant to be a house of prayer rather than a den of thieves. Thieves lived in caves, especially on common roads travelers used, and they would attack and steal from travelers as they walked from village to village. Like in the parable of the Good Samaritan, these people selling goods in the temple were acting like the den of thieves who were trying to get gain, just like a thief would try to get a good position along the road where they could hide and attack. These sellers wanted their spot where they could cheat people and charge them enormous prices so sacrifices could be offered. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And just think of like the experience that you would have as you travel too. Like like if you didn't bring a sacrifice, with you, and you were just kind of planning on getting one with your funds or whatever, like as if you would want to pay 20 times the amount, And I guess therein lies the other sacrifice that I was talking about before. That, I wouldn't be able to sacrifice an animal that was mine because I would have gotten attached to it. So I would rather want to sacrifice an animal that I didn't know. And the closer I could get to the temple so that I didn't fall in love with the animal would be the best, right? But then obviously my 20 times of, they would charge me 20 times the amount, which means then now that sacrifice actually would seem harder to give, right? And would then jump my sacrifice level to more of a sacrifice, right? I don't know how to liken it other than that. But anyways, so I really am glad that Jesus was able to cleanse the temple, because it's true. Nobody wants to do that. Imagine if there were a bunch of people selling temple clothes right before you were pulling up to get out of your car, and they start trying to sell you stuff there. That would be crazy, and it would not contribute to a spirit of reverence at all. So, okay, and then we have verse 14 to 16. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the son of David, they were sore displeased, and said unto him, Hearest thou what these say? And Jesus saith unto them, Jesus saith unto them, Yea, have ye ever read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise? Okay, so the enemies were displeased with Jesus. So if we wonder how Jesus felt about the temple, even though it was under evil leadership, these verses and the verses prior tell us when Jesus was in Jerusalem, he was often found at the temple. And here in these verses, after cleansing the grounds, the blind and the lame were brought to him, for neither could come on their own, and he healed them on that sacred ground, even while he offended so many others, or so many. I don't know why I can't read. Even while he offended so many, others came to him, and he healed them. While some were coming to Jesus to be healed, the Jewish leaders, even the chief priests, who were the head of the Jewish rulers, saw all that was happening, and they were sore displeased. Everything that Jesus was doing was conspicuous, from his triumphal entry to the cleansing of the temple, and now healings at the temple were where many could watch and see. The children of the kingdom continued to cry, Hosanna, and the Jewish leaders asked Jesus if he heard what those in the temple were saying. Jesus replied, Yea, have ye never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise? These new followers were as babes in the gospel, brand new believers. But even as they stood by, the chief priests and scribes, who claimed to be the great scholars of the scriptures, it was these babes who had perfected praise. End quote. Oh, wow. Wait, can I even start with a quote? Anyway, this was all redhead and hostess is what they were saying. So yeah, basically he was trying to tell them hey, at least they know what's up and you guys don't. And they know who I am and you guys are still trying to figure that mess out. So I think this was a great thing to read. And again, this is Jesus cleanses the temple, and we will end there for now. And just to idea for a family home evening or a family gathering. There's Bible videos that the church has put out, and there's a Bible video about this scene. So it would be kind of cool to watch that for dinner or something like that. And then you could talk about some of these things and have some questions that the redheaded hostess suggests is Jesus did not give up after his first attempt at cleansing the temple and did not have at cleansing the temple and did not have a lasting effect. How can you apply this in your own life? How many times should we try to cast out things in our own lives that are unholy? It's pretty awesome. Okay, until tomorrow, stay strong, warrior.